Recording. All right. So tonight is December 10th, 2019, and you're listening to Dowsing Support and Continuing Education teleconference series, which is sponsored by the American Society of Dowsers. And I'm pleased to welcome Robert Egby in joining me again, this time talking again about non-beneficial energies, but we're going to go beyond his last talk, which was in July. If you haven't heard him talk about geopathic stress, I recommend going to the members page and listening to that call on Discover Dowsing for July. It was absolutely fascinating. I'm Roxanne Louise. I'm the originator of this particular series. Each second Tuesday, I pick a topic of interest to most dowsers from beginners to advanced, and I invite another expert dowser to join with me in presenting the material, followed by questions or comments from our listeners. At the 1 hour mark, we'll start those questions. So right now, all of you are muted except for Robert and myself. These calls are recorded and archived for our members, which is a great reason to join, because by joining, you can listen to dozens of these talks. I've been doing this now my third year. And besides these talks, there are maybe 50 years of digest articles there. Plus, we're now starting to upload some videos on our members-only page. So to join, go to dowsers.org. Make sure it's plural, dowsers, as the dowser.org is Joey Korn's site. I'm sure you'll be glad for some traffic as well. So first, some announcements. Our annual conference is June 3rd through 7th, and it's at Plymouth State University in Plymouth, New Hampshire. It's actually, it's the southern part of New Hampshire, and it's actually quite easy to get to. You can fly into Boston, or you can take the Amtrak up to Boston and then take a bus. We are accepting speaker registrations through January 17th. We also have vending ability. We have a spa corner with practitioners who offer private sessions of various kinds. We have early bird pricing for our members right now, which was listed it's listed both on our website and in the monthly newsletter. So I started writing a monthly newsletter in October, and if you're not getting it, please be sure to send your email to dowsers.org and ask Lisa in our headquarters to put you on the list. We're also taking nominations for the Board of Trustees. These nominations have to be in by December 15th, or you can send a note of who you would like to see on the board to nominating at dowsers.org. So Robert Egby has been a dowser for 40 years. He's been a journalist and a broadcaster. He's a hypnotherapist in New Jersey. They call them hypno-counselors. A certified sound healer, an ordained interfaith minister, a psychic medium, a lecturer, and workshop leader on enlightenment and higher awareness. He's a publisher and an award-winning author of 3 books. The one I think is absolutely fascinating and totally on the topic tonight is The Silent Killer Below, Hunting and Healing Geopathic Stress. You can get this through his website. So I also have been approaching the topic of non-beneficial energies earlier in the year with Barbara Stone on her soul detective work. And then on another call, we had her husband, Dr. Richard Alcorn, a psychiatrist and a shaman, also discuss his work. Tonight, I have a long list of questions that I still have regarding geopathic stress, as well as other non-beneficial energies he's come across. So I don't think I'm going to have time to get into the specifics about what I feel is necessary in healing vulnerability to non-beneficial energies. That'll have to be taken up later. I call this getting the hook out, and the hook is why negativity sticks to people. But basically, negative energies can attach, usually because there's a resonance match between the individual or there's a weakening in the energy field. Geopathic stress is one of the things that does weaken the energy field. Hooks that allow negative things to attach include unhealed issues or wounds, negative emotions, negative beliefs or judgments. And the weakening in the energy field can come from multiple sources. Dowsing can help us to identify what the vulnerability is, the unhealed wound or resonance, the error in consciousness, and the specific weakening agent and how to clear it. So healing vulnerability to non-beneficial energy means eliminating anything that weakens your energy field and doing whatever you can to raise your energy level. So locating and addressing your weak points, whether it's on a physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual level, not only removes the hook that enables non-beneficial attachment, such as entities or psychic attacks, hexes or curses or things like that to work, but also leads to greater peace of mind all around. And Robert can tell you about the benefits some of his clients have experienced after a clearing of the geopathic stress by itself. The first defense against many forms of detrimental energies is good self-care. Sleep, good diet, exercise, stress management, taking time for fun and loving relationships, and healing any unresolved issues of which you're aware. And one of the strongest means of self-defense is a sense of wonder, the power of love, laughter, joy, and gratitude. Being connected to others you love and see on a regular basis is very powerful. And music, like Tibetan bowls, is healing. So having a tape or CD with music that makes you happy or lifts your spirit, is calming or inspirational, should be part of your self-defense arsenal. Add in anything else that lifts your spirits and raises your vibrations, such as prayer, meditation, connecting to nature, and the divine spark visible in every living thing. All these things are within your control. The basic point is this: anything that weakens the energy field for any reason makes it more difficult to fend off other things that weaken your field. One problem builds on another, creating a greater vulnerability to non-beneficial energies, whereas anything that raises your vibration makes you more resilient. So weakening agents can make you sick, irritated, disagreeable, upset more easily, and interfere with other areas of your life like work and relationships. They interfere with getting accurate dowsing responses and being able to connect to your true spiritual guidance. And if strong enough, those weakening agents can allow things to attach to our energy field, as I mentioned, like entities, energy vampires, psychic attack, and black magic. Some obvious things that weaken it are, as mentioned, poor diet, sleep disturbance, fatigue, upset, overwhelm, health problems, pain, fatigue, toxicity, and, of course, unresolved mental and emotional issues. So especially detrimental are those negative beliefs and judgments, like ones that feed into feelings of hopelessness and despair, guilt and shame, low self-esteem, and low feelings of worth. Self-judgment, guilt, and shame always call for a self-punishment. So with Robert on the call, what we want to start with is the weakening agent of geopathic stress. Robert, would you review what geopathic stress is and what causes it?
It's well, as I said in the silent killer, more or less tells the story, but it's earth energy which radiates, and it radiates through subterranean water veins, and it turns toxic. The problem is that places like they've got a lot of clay, or they've got a lot of broken rock and things like that, and fissures and possibilities of leaching. The beautiful earth energy becomes toxic, and it's not something that you can just feel, although some people do feel it if they're trained to feel it, but it grows on you, and you feel you're living you just rented or bought a very beautiful place, and you're looking forward to being there with your loved ones and children, and it starts. You don't start to feel well. You don't start to be well. You wake up with headaches or aches or sweating in the night, and for no apparent reason. And it eventually be so bad that you go to a doctor, and the doctor prescribes some pills for you. But it's still there, and that is how geopathic stress works. It works on reducing your immune system. And when your immune system goes down, you're opened up to all the diseases or problems or sicknesses that you're normally or would be prone to. And it's one of the most common things. I was just talking with somebody today on that, is that people can't sleep in their beds, and so they go and sleep downstairs because they can go to sleep downstairs. They can't sleep in their beds. And it's called the marriage wrecker, simply because it goes on long enough, you lose your partner. But that is one of the common faults of geopathic stress. It will actually reduce the family, the knitted family, through mum or dad. They can no longer work because of their health, deteriorating health. Their kids, some of their kids are depressed. They spend a whole lot of money on trying to bring their health up again. They lose their jobs, and finally they lose their homes. And this has been proved. We've done a survey of foreclosed homes. Foreclosed homes is when the whole family collapses and can no longer pay the bill, no longer pay the mortgage. We did a survey of 87 homes in the United States, and each one of those 87 homes had geopathic stress in them. It's a family wrecker. It's a marriage wrecker. It's a family wrecker. So the way NASA explains how it comes about is that the Earth contains two cores. One is metal, solid metal of iron, and the other one is a liquid. And the two rotate one against the other, and it produces a generator, a dynamo. And this produces the magnetic energy in which we all live. And normally it's very beautiful. It's beautiful, and we don't even recognize it's there. We only recognize it when it goes wrong, when it becomes toxic. And it's incredible that none of our universities are indeed studying it. We've been calling them and emailing them and never get a reply. And yet in India, the University of Pune, they've done some exceptional research and shows that drivers sitting on a geopathic or passing over geopathic stress on the highways, it actually increases affects the human heart rate and also the blood pressure. They had a 3-day conference on geopathic stress in India, which shows how important it is. But here, you can't get anybody to sort of stop and talk about geopathic stress. Yet every property owner, every developer, every realtor, every planner, every councillor, every government officer should pay attention to geopathic stress. And nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing it at all, simply because it cannot be scientifically proven that it exists. And this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing at the University of Pune in India. They're proving that it does exist.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Now,
yes.
you told us that at one time you did the typical hammering iron rods or metal staples in the ground, but today you just cleared detrimental energies lines with decrees. For those who missed your earlier call, would you give us a wording of a typical decree?
The decree, the original decree that Tom Passiadosa up in Canada taught me many years ago was to, if you want to change energy, use the word, we decree that this negative energy is transmuted and converted. The key words are transmuted and converted. You ask whoever you believe in, whether you believe in the sun and the stars, whether you believe in the goddess of love, whether you believe in the Holy Spirit, whether you believe in God, just say, in the name of the Holy Spirit, we decree that this negative energy, this geopathic stress zone, be transmuted and converted into that which is good and beautiful. Transmuted and converted into that which is good and beautiful. When you say that, when you're on a geopathic zone, geopathic stress zone, there is an immediate reaction. It all depends how enthusiastic you are. I believe that you have to say it as if you're an actor on a stage, rather than simply just say it as a prayer or a piece of poetry. It's a very powerful decree.
You mentioned that. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that the decrees need to be said with great authority and complete conviction, while holding
yes.
a focus on what you happen. So, is that what you mean by saying it like an actor, with real authority, like you're ordering your commands?
Yes, that's right. It is an order. It is an order. You're using the power of the universe, or whatever you believe in. I believe in the power of the universe. I'm a mystic by nature, but I do teach various religions. I believe in the Holy Spirit, which is the energy of the universe. And so I will call on, in the name of the Holy Spirit, we decree. We decree. Who's we? I'm a dowser, and Holy Spirit is the other partner. Okay? We decree that this geopathic stress zone, which is going through this property, you name the property, which is going through this property, be transmuted and converted, transmuted and converted, transmuted and converted into that which is good and beautiful, that which is good and beautiful.
Well, there's another thing about you saying we, because it's not just you, like David and Goliath. It's not just you going up against what you're trying to clear. By the moment you say we, or through the power of the Holy Spirit, it's as if that Holy Spirit then is embracing you. It's standing behind you.
You are using the force. It's like as if you're turning on a tap, as if you're turning on a electric light. Yeah, you're using the power of the universe to affect this, to repair, to adjust something that has gone wrong. In other words, you're healing a problem within the earth. And now, it takes, to clear a home or a factory or a farm in Australia or wherever it is, you can do it in 2 minutes. I've timed myself, and it's less than 2 minutes for the average clearance of a thing. And the only way you're going to do it is to actually practice and see, find an energy and work on it. Find a negative energy and work on it.
So although you're doing clearings from a distance through decrees, have you found it as effective as when you used to go to the site and pound iron rods into the ground? Yeah,
it's called muddy boots dowsing. It is. It is. I've never done a physical clearing of geopathic stress without getting something on my shoes from stuff that the dogs left over, or vegetables, or mud. It's muddy boots dowsing. It's quite effective, and you find out exactly where the geopathic stress lines are, and you put a copper rod about 30 inches, about an eighth of an inch thick, and you put it across the geopathic stress zone on one side, then go around the other side of the house and put in another one. Now you've got to pull them back so that the energy is beamed up. It bounces up for some strange reason that most dowsers can't figure out, including me. It goes up at 63 degrees and it comes down at 63 degrees. So what you are doing is you're producing like a tent. You've got to pull the rods back far enough so it goes over the top of the roof, or at least clears the bedrooms upstairs.
Well, if you have a multi-story building, like an apartment house or whatever, how do you...
That's a problem. That is a problem. In an apartment on the 56th floor, you go in and you put rods in, and right in the corner as far up against the wall, incoming wall as you can, and then go to the outgoing and put another rod in there, and that will bounce it up out of the apartment. Now, there are problems with that. Well, it's not really problems. You're bouncing the energy up over the apartment. It's still affecting the people upstairs. It's still affecting the people downstairs. You're just doing that particular apartment. Now, when we do it by distant dowsing, distant healing, we clear an apartment, and it does the whole geopathic stress zone from way beyond the stress it comes in, way beyond the point it goes out. In fact, the whole thing is cleared from the ground floor right the way up through to the top floor. We cleared this huge complex in Bradford, England, called the Britannia House, and it came through the eastern section, and they had employees coming and going, and they never knew what was happening. So one of the employees asked me to clear it. I cleared it remotely, and every floor was cleared of that negative energy. But here's something that completely out of the blue happened. 3 months later, the young lady phoned and said, not only have you cleared it and the place is wonderful and the energy is wonderful, we had a severe plumbing problem before you cleared it, and there hasn't been a plumbing problem since. Now, explain that. I have no idea why.
What other things have people told you after you cleared their property?
Oh, one lady says, the whole place is full of birds now. She says, that's wonderful. She said, because we didn't even have a little bird around to sort of pick up the crumbs we put out. And she said, and then you cleared it for us, and now the place is full of birds, and they're beautiful. The usual one is everybody's sleeping so well, and the kids don't have the depression anymore, and everyone generally feels better. In fact, some people even feel like singing.
Mentioned some house.
She said. One lady said, my husband now sings in the shower every morning. He didn't do that before.
That's funny. Now,
yes.
you're clearing, focusing on a Google map upon which you drew the boundary lines. So I noticed that you're able to draw right on the map these yellow lines on the screen. Yeah. So is that a special app?
No, it's just if you go to Google Earth, they allow you put it on your computer, and if you have if you want to put marks on it and then save it as a photograph, you can do that. It's only on your computer. It's not on Google Earth, wherever the central location is. It's only on your computer. In fact, I have 3 computers, and when I'm gradually gravitating from an old one onto a new one, and I have several hundred marks on Google Earth on the old one, and I only have a few. It doesn't carry to another computer, even though I log on as Robert Egby.
Now, is there ever a time that you feel you should go on site, or it's preferable to go on site in order to clear geopathic zones?
No. I like to do it for people late in the day or in the early evening when they're home but not asleep. You know, I don't want to disturb them by sleep. When I should tell you what else I do. People who have been suffering from geopathic stress, they've had injury, they've had hurts, they've had a lot of hurts and things like that, and they said a lot of bad things, and they've generated a lot of bad energy in the house. So what I do is that I say, as part of a decree, including the one I explained to earlier, we decree that the house is also filled with uplifting, beneficial, loving, and healing energy. And any particular memories from the past, any hurtful, negative memories from the past, are also transmuted and converted into that which is good and beautiful and of harm to no one.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That is a blessing. It's on the end. If you have the power to give a blessing, give a blessing. Don't just sort of clean the place up, clean the geopathic stress. But if you're changing the energy, you might as well change the whole thing and make it beautiful and helpful and inspiring and loving and all these various things.
Well, that's like getting rid of a negative. You want to fill it with something positive.
That's right. I find that people will try and get rid of negative energy, but they won't try and say what's in its place. They assume that if they get rid of something negative, that there's some beautiful energy in its place. You know, people who have suffered from geopathic stress need a little helping hand, and if you've got that ability, then give it. You know, I started distant healing when I was with the spiritualists a long time ago, and in Vancouver, Canada, and I was always quite impressed that a lady would say, "Thank you for the healing." She said, "I could feel it on Sunday." And that was the time when we had a healing service, and you went through names and you sent healing to different people. That was the start of it. But now, with your healing homes where people live, and they should enjoy that home. So it gives them a platform on which they can build a good family and good relations and things like that. So if you're a dowser, do it. You know, practice clearing. You can start easily on Google Earth. Just bring up Google Earth. It's free from Google, and put it on and find a place where there's geopathic stress. You might want to say, "Hey, I know a place next door." Bring the place up next door on Google Earth and douse it out with a pendulum and put a marker on it. I think I explain it in my workshops, but I don't know. It's very easy to put the marks on. And you just bring up that house and say the decree. You know, we decree in the name of God, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, and everybody else. we decree that this geopathic stress zone is transmuted and converted into that which is good and beautiful, and all energy in this place, all negative energies are also transmuted and converted. And then go out and see if you actually did that. See if it's still there. In other words, set yourself up for a test. Find a place nearby, and then clear it from your home. And you'll find that it gives you confidence.
Sure.
And then eventually, if you do a few places, then you'll be able to do places in Australia. I do frequently do places in Australia. I think they must be sitting on a geopathic stress that goes across the whole of from Alice Springs right the way through to Brisbane. Anyway.
Are you always able to locate properties adequately on Google Earth?
You can. Sometimes it's difficult to track a geopathic stress, especially if there are trees. But if you know Google Earth, they do scans every few years, and sometimes they do scans in winter. So just look back on the little toolbox at the top left-hand side, and there is a historical scan, a historical piece where it says you go back to 2016, 2011, and all of a sudden the trees don't have any leaves, and you can see the home. There's that as well, so you can see exactly where the house is, because people love trees around the houses. There's no problem. The other thing is there was another way of doing this whole thing. If you haven't got Google Earth, make a plan of the house and write the address on it. And you can actually dowse your pendulum and a pencil. And the pendulum will swing hard when they ask it to show you a geopathic stress zone in the house. You can work on a simple plan of a house with a pendulum, and as long as you've got the address on it, the pendulum will actually show you. That is your higher consciousness working. I found that out when I was doing the ley lines for the book, Chasing the Cosmic Principle, that I could find ley lines simply by running a pencil across the screen, but I was looking at the pendulum. And when it came, the pendulum vibrated. I looked at exactly where the pencil was, and it showed me where the ley lines were. You can do that with geopathic stress. You can do it with any energy. It's your higher consciousness working. Just believe you can do it, and you can do it.
What is how long can these zones be?
Oh, the dead zone that went through Mount Holly that we cleared was about half a mile. It's when you clear a subterranean water vein, you can track it across a field or a garden or a farm and see how far it goes before it joins another one. And you will, when you clear it, it will go to a join. It will join to a split. And I don't know why that is, but it. I did one in Hatfield. Cleared a mobile home site in Hatfield the other day, Pennsylvania, and the geopathic stress zones went through various trailers and things like that, but it also went through adjoining homes. So, and the whole object was to clear the mobile home site. So all the other homes around are also cleared as well. But you'd have to spend time on tracking them, tracking the clearance. It's and that's the other thing. When you clear a subterranean water vein, the geopathic stress zone, you not only clear ground floor on a skyscraper, you clear the 104th floor as well, and all the floors in between, because it's a vertical thing. That's the power of remote healing, remote dowsing, remote healing. I think everybody in school should be taught this, but we have the problem that has existed for hundreds of years that people think it's not right, because an emperor called Theodosius actually gave edicts that everything else except the Christian church was heathen, pagan, and that exists even today. That is why men have a distinct aversion to dowsing. That's why when you have a dowsing class or workshop, most of the attendants are women. Do you know, out of the 300, since June 17, that I've been actually systematically clearing homes and factories and farms and everything, I have done 377. I think today's date was. It's quiet this week, thank goodness. 377. And I've forgotten what exactly I was talking about. It's one of those things that
that's
do.
amazing that you've had such a... It's part of what you do. You know, some people say, "What do you do?" And I said, "That's what I do. I clear houses." All right.
And the Molly Maid of dowsing.
All right. So let me ask you.
Oh yes, I was trying to say you cleared everything from the bottom floor right up to the top floor. That's the power of healing and things like that. In the old days, when you did the muddy boots dowsing and you did it outside, you didn't do the basement because you only bounced it up above the top of the roof. You don't push it down or anything like that. So you had to go and put rods in the basement as well, especially if people were living in the basement.
So the decrees then are more effective. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it's experiment. Take one and see if you can make it better. You know, I don't know.
I will tell you that somebody came out to my property and to look for detrimental earth energies and found two. But there were still some things going on that cleared after you cleared my house. So for example, I felt more comfortable sleeping in my bed than periodically getting up and sleeping on a couch.
Yes. That's the marriage trick.
As you were talking, that person put staples in the ground, and maybe the staples flat on the ground were not bouncing the energy off the roof, because my bedroom is like a floor above.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a factor. But here's another thing. Can geopathic zones, even if they're cleared, could they, for any reason in the future, need clearing again? Maybe not from that line, but maybe maybe through earth changes, with like the ground moving, through fracking, through something else. Have you ever?
Yeah. The earth moving. We live on a little hill in New Jersey. Well, there aren't many hills in New Jersey. Well, there are no mountains, but we live on a mountain. It's 300 feet, but it's gradually moving, and occasionally it moves a couple of inches, and water flows in it, and all of a sudden you have a new geopathic stress zone. So when you clear it, the place now, I have to keep on checking the place where we live for that. But normally, the only one that you need to look out for are seasonal ones. So if you're doing a scan, a dowsing scan, ask to be shown the routes for seasonal geopathic stress zones, because they do exist. Not too often, but they do exist. What happens is the water in the springtime, the snows run off, and the springs start to activate, or veins start to activate, and all of a sudden they're producing geopathic stress. That is something that you need to ask for. Another one that you need to ask for if you're a dowser, and that is, are there any shadow geopathic stress zones? You'll sometimes find a geopathic stress zone, and this is why you should always ask the depth of the geopathic stress zone. You can come at 750 feet down, flowing over clay and broken rock. Okay, 750 feet down. Are there any other geopathic stress zones below this one?
Oh, I see.
And then it will say yes. Because, and that is why you should never, ever say, this, I decree that this geopathic stress zone is transmuted and converted into that which is good and beautiful. You have to say that all geopathic stress zones in this house, under this house, all geopathic stress zones, and you can even add temporary or seasonal if you want to. You need to modify. You have to, when you go and douse a house, you have to look at all. This is why it takes about 45 minutes to actually douse a house and make a report on a Google Earth scan. That's why we charge a donation to help towards research of $35. But
that's not.
It's something that people like to do, give something in return. It's the law of giving and receiving, you know. So it's yeah, go.
Since water carries intention, water carries energy. Yeah. Can a healthy stream of water be made detrimental because of evil intent? So, for example, let's say there's a quarrel. A divorce, or some other kind of black magic, for example. Can somebody take a healthy stream of water and turn it into a detrimental energy?
Yeah, you can do it, but it may not last. Water is on the move all the time. It's like the air. You can't sort of pin something in the air for very long because it's always moving. Water moves, and if stagnant water, you could probably make a negative pond out of stagnant water. Yeah, you could do that. I don't know why anybody would want to do it, but you know, there are such people. Getting back to your introduction, the most powerful force in the universe is love. And the teachers have been saying this all through the centuries and everything. Make love your aim and earnestly desire the spiritual gifts. This is exactly what we're doing with dowsing. That's what Paul said. He said, make love your aim and earnestly desire the spiritual gifts. The spiritual gift is dowsing, whether you like it or not. It is a spiritual gift. It is part of the higher consciousness of your body, your mind.
Yeah, I feel that very strongly. I feel that dowsing is a spiritual practice, actually.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is stop being lazy and get out, learn how to douse, learn how to clean up people's houses. There are a whole lot of people out there with problem houses, and they just won't come forward. They just won't come forward. I've had almost 400 in 2.5 years. So. And I don't think I've scratched the surface, really.
Well, I want to go back to something you said a moment ago. You said that geopathic zones can come and go either seasonally or through Earth movement or something else. So how frequently should you check to see if it's still holding, if it's still healthy?
Jan, put it this way. If all of a sudden you're sitting at your desk and the old ache comes back, that's a message. Pain is a messenger. say, hey, why have I got this pain? I haven't done anything unusual. I haven't done anything. And get your dowsing rod out and check it. And if you have got it, ask why it's there. It's never. Sometimes, we'd have to do a booster. I get calls to doing a booster. Probably 1 in 100, something like that. But and we just give them a boost for energy again. I don't know. It's you have to be, how shall I say, not fearful, but aware of a change in energy in your house, and say, okay, why am I waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Or why do I wake up with this sweat? That's signs of geopathic stress. You should be able to get a good night's sleep. If you're not getting a good night's sleep, and you wake up all exhausted and things like that, we've got a whole list of things. It's something that you should be aware of and say, hey, there's something wrong here. I need to fix it. I think if knowing what I know now, I just wish I'd known that when I had a family out in British Columbia. I would have taught them all how to dowse, because that's reading energy. You're basically an energy reader, and or maybe a manipulator. But I think it should be taught in schools. But I mean, I remember 20 years ago when they wouldn't even have yoga teaching classes in school. Now they have yoga classes. They do meditation. But 20, 30 years ago, that wasn't so. But, in fact, there was a hypnotherapist out in Washington State who was thrown out of school because he just simply used relaxation exercises, and they call them meditation. So the world is changing, but changing fast. And if you have said, and it's easy enough to learn. It's easy enough to acquire the sensitivity because it's already built in. You need to just open your eyes and see.
Well,
and,
you'll find that you can do it. I think a person needs to have a baseline of what feeling good is like. And if you have a baseline of what does it feel like to be centered and in a good psychological, mental, spiritual place, then any deviation from that, you can then say, well, okay, what's going on? Okay, I want to go on to another question. Do geopathic zones attract ghosts, entities, or any
absolutely
psychic phenomena?
Absolutely, yeah. The negative, they'll attract negative entities, not positive entities, negative entities. Yes, they do. They also attract lightning.
Really?
A house with geopathic zone is open to, unless you've got lightning conductors built in, it's open to lightning. We have a house near Pemberton that was burned down twice because of lightning. And
would that be
rebuilding it?
So if on your property lightning struck a particular place, a tree or whatever, would it be out in the field, or would that be a possible geopathic stress point?
Yeah, if you go and check if you see a tree struck by lightning, go out and check, because sure enough, chances are there's a geopathic stress zone within a few feet, or maybe going right the way through the bottom of it.
Now, you have...
That's why you should never stand under a tree in a lightning storm. It's sad.
Mentioned that the stress zones are somewhere around 12 to 18 inches wide. But does negative impact only stay within that narrow band, Or can it also be felt several feet away from that band?
No, it radiates upwards. It's just like if it's 17 inches across 1,000 feet down, it'll be 17 inches across at the earth level when it comes through your room, when it comes through your house. The problem is the negative energy is coming up, but it seems to, how shall I say, it creates negative energy within the house. When I was in hospital briefly, they moved me to another room, ward room, and immediately I knew there was a geopathic stress in the room. And I said to the nurse, I said, "Would you please come and sit here?" And I said, "I'm a dowser," and I explained dowsing while she was sitting there. And we were discussing dowsing and energy and things like that. And I said, "Now, how do you feel?" She said, "I feel," this was after 10 minutes. She said, "I feel irritable." I said, "Yeah." I said, "If I felt irritable as well," I said, "we could have a hell of an argument, couldn't we?" That is what geopathic stress does. It creates a house of irritability, and people are challenged in order to sort of maintain a quiet mind or a peaceful mind. Well, other people around them are irritable and things like that.
I want to clarify this further. You say the zone, when it comes into your building, into your house, may only be a foot to a foot and a half wide, but that it spreads throughout the whole house, or the effect is felt?
No, it affects the air in the house.
So the whole house.
I'm not a scientist. I'm just giving my observations on this. But when I hear of people saying, our whole family is deteriorating and everybody's arguing. We had a farm of 4 houses in Australia, one of the very first ones I did. And the young girl said, "Can you help me? Because nobody talks to one another. And when they do talk to one another, it's always arguments and arguments and arguments. Nobody can talk to each other. So the people stay in their 4 houses on this farm." So we cleared the place. And about 3 days later, she calls and emails me and says, everybody's talking to one another and everything's happy. She said, "Thank you so much." This is the power of geopathic stress zone. It undermines you. It is a silent force, a silent killer. It's why I call the book. And society generally doesn't recognize it. Governments surely don't recognize it, because sooner or later it'll happen. That government will say, we have to make sure that the houses are cleared before they're even built. Land is cleared before it's even built.
Now, when you have clearing a building, have you found the imprint of past residents, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah. I cover that with any negative energies, any negative hurts, any negative pains from the past are also transmuted and converted into that which is good and beautiful. And that will cover it.
Does that take care of negative thought forms as well?
Yep, everything. Yeah, negative thought forms, everything. Any negative thoughts, any negative feelings, any negative hurts, any negative pains, anything. And sometimes I say in the walls, you almost have to sort of tailor the decree as you go along, I give a basic one in the book, but you'll learn by experience. And when you learn and have the experience, you tailor the things to that experience, And I've come across tragedies, tragedies, and a woman brought up her family and gradually saw her husband deteriorating in this, went through operations on this, that, the other, and we finally said, let's get out of this place. They found another place. And within a year, he was dead, killed by more geopathic stress. They found a new place, and that too had geopathic stress. It sort of broke my heart just to hear this lady talking about how she lost her husband and the stuff that happened over for those two homes. That they found a home that they loved, and they thought, hey, this is going to rescue us. This is going to bring him back to life. It didn't. She lost him. And she's writing a book about it because
I believe you mentioned in the last call that a person could be so acclimatized to the negative energy that they actually feel comfortable in it and will find another place of the same kind. Am I correct?
That's one of the problems. You actually try to get away from one apartment or a home that has geopathic stress, and guess what? You find another one. That is a common occurrence.
Now, time is moving on, and I want to get a few more questions in. Since you're a hypnotherapist, have you found any beliefs or judgments that are either protective from non-beneficial energies or actually attract them?
Yeah, people don't believe them. They don't. It's like talking to a depressed person that they can get themselves out of this simply by thinking. They can, but it's you try telling somebody who's depressed. The love force is great, but people are living with limitations from society, the church, goodness knows what. And I mean, when you go to church and the opening words of the Sunday Mass are, let us bring to mind our sins, what does that tell you? Everybody's a sinner. In the eyes of the church, maybe that's so. But if the church really wanted to help civilization, bring to mind your powers of love and share it with others. I mean, why don't
it's a very good point.
It's frustrating,
If
they need to rewrite the church services.
If you believe you're a worm of the earth, yet you're a sinner and worthy of eternal punishment, then it's going to deplete your energy field, which opens to non-beneficial energies.
Absolutely, yeah, that's true, yeah. And you can try all sorts of ways. People do, and they call us at the last as the last support. For can you do anything? We've called in all these different people. We've called in the environmental people. We've called in this. We've called in that.
Now, you're a medium also. What have the spirits told you as to why they're around, and have you found any that were actually beneficial or protective?
All my spirit friends are protective and beneficial. They help me when one of the things, like in the book Chasing the Cosmic Principle, is if you put the diagram of a pyramid, just the diagram of a pyramid, in your yard, you'll have a whole lot of yin energy, like geospirals, but the cosmic principle radiates that over a house. And sometimes, if they've had a really bad past, I'll put a cosmic principle in the yard, not over the house, but in the yard, so it radiates energy around for quite a few yards in all directions. And, you have to use your arsenal, and you can only get a good arsenal by experience, and practicing, and listening to what people tell you. This is why when I clear a home or a farm or a business, I said, would you please give us feedback? Your feedback is important because we need to know. We use it for research. We use it for all sorts of things, It's, and once you communicate with people, you can hear all sorts of stories, and sometimes horror stories. The most common phrase that I hear is, "Why didn't somebody tell us about this?"
Now, have you crossed
they
any?
normally say that when they've lost a loved one. Yeah. So,
come across portals?
Yeah, portals are there. Make sure you know what the portal is and things like that. We once closed a portal. It was music that used to come out of the woman behind a woman's headdress, not dresser, at 2:00 in the morning for about 20 minutes, and we closed it. And a month later, she asked for it back, and we couldn't open it again for her. So these are the strange things that happen. Tom Passy, my friend and veteran dowser, president of the Canadian Dowsers, he was asked on one of the islands out off Vancouver if he could make it rain. So he decreed he decreed it should rain because they'd had this drought. It rained next day for the second day of the workshop, and the people were really impressed. And we came back to Vancouver, and 5 days later, on the Wednesday, they called Tom and said, "Can you make it? Can you stop the rain, please?" And he said, "I don't know." He says, "I can start it, but I can't stop it."
Well, let's be careful what you ask for. Okay, well, it's now 9:00, and I want to open the lines to any of the listeners for question and answer. So anyone...
we've got people listening? We've got people listening?
Yes, we do. I had silenced them before, but if anyone wants to speak, hit *6 and start speaking. And so who has a question or a comment? Who's 864? Do you have a comment or question?
Yes. Hi, I'm Mary, and thank you so
Hello,
much.
Hello, Mary.
Hi, Robert. You mentioned putting a cosmic principle into a yard. What did you mean exactly by that, and what principle would you use?
Okay. If you look at a pyramid, it's a square with a cross from each of the points, a cross which crosses in the middle, a diagonal cross in a square. And if you hold a pendulum over it, it'll automatically go into counterclockwise. Okay? And if you actually hold that and ask to show how much energy there is, walk away from the plan of the pyramid, and the pendulum will continue to spin counterclockwise. And depending on the size of it, normally a 10 by 10 cosmic principle will radiate about 10 or 11 feet of yin energy. So I have ones by my bed, and it's just and you don't even have to measure it. Just make sure it's just a square with a diagonal cross in it, and hold a pendulum over that, and it'll go counterclockwise. And that is your yin energy.
And what does that do, Robert?
Well, it makes sure that you've got peaceful, loving energy. It's like the geospiral. Geospirals are natural energy boosters. And some people can't get geospirals around them. So they can get a cosmic principle. It's written in my book, Chasing the Cosmic Principle.
Okay.
Dowsing from Pyramids to Backyard America. It talks about the ley lines and things, but it also talks about the cosmic principle. Anything cosmic will generate a counterclockwise spin of the pendulum. Like, for instance, the color yellow. If you hold a pendulum over the color yellow, it'll go counterclockwise. Now, here's a thing. If you write the word yellow in black ink, it'll still go counterclockwise. If you go to Latin, crocus, you go to, say it in Spanish, or write it in Spanish, it'll still go counterclockwise. It's strange. And there's various words that are cosmic as well. But it's a study that study. It's a study that should be developed, and unfortunately, I don't have all that time. You know.
Okay. Who else has a question or a comment? Robert, hit star 6.
I have another question too, if I may.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Robert, do you have any suggestions how to deal with what they're going to be doing with 5G?
No. All I know, it's a fastest system. Why is everybody in a hurry? What are we in a hurry for? No, I don't know. I don't know the negative or the positive side.
Applications, Robert. Communication and military. Does anyone else have a question or comment?
Thank you.
Nobody?
It's 6. Anyone have a question or comment for Robert? Hit star 6.
Okay.
I am curious about what you said about the color yellow, Robert. My name's Erin. You know, if somebody wears the color yellow, I mean, I'm just thinking about the chakras. What impact is there?
It should actually give you a whole lot of good energy. It's the only color that I found that actually generates. All the other colors don't seem to generate that counterclockwise yin energy on a pendulum, but yellow does, and it will also do it in different languages and things like that. So it's it's one of the things that needs investigating. But Spirit told me. You wanted to know what spirits do? That was one of the things they told me about. That if I held a pendulum over a pyramid, it would go counterclockwise. And it was from that. And they said it's not the pyramid, it's the plan of the pyramid that is cosmic. The plan of a pyramid is cosmic. So if you draw a square and put a diagonal cross in it,
right,
you'll find it'll go counterclockwise, and that's cosmic. Apparently, whatever. So, and it is healthy. So keep one by your bed, and if you feel that it's good, that's fine. If it keeps you awake, move it away.
Interesting. Who else has a comment?
Man, Donna Lee.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, Donna.
Hi, Robert. Back to 5G, if I may. I just listened. I'm in the process of listening to 40 researchers and scientists from around the world through the 5G summit put on by the Shift Network. And we just recently had a meeting in somebody's house here. And we're extremely concerned about the health effects of 5G. And I think the work that you're doing could be extremely helpful in counteracting this. And I'd be happy to send you some information on it. Dr. McCullough, Online Doctors, also put out a whole bunch of information, and we're being sold a bill of goods about 5G. It is absolutely detrimental to our health.
Well, send it to me.
Okay.
Well, you know, Robert, I've heard people say that you can talk to cell phone towers to either neutralize the energy coming out if it could not even not actually transmute it into what's beneficial. So have you done any work at just ordinary cell phone towers?
I haven't done any work on cell phone towers. No, I work for people. I know cell phone towers are a problem, and so is 5G. Now, if you're going to combat it or you're going to change it or in any shape or form, you may have a problem. You may have to go underground. That's putting it mildly. I don't know. I often think, use the power of your mind to help other people. Now, if they're being bothered by 5G, what can you do for the house to stop that 5G? If you are looking at it as a world development, well, it's like looking for world peace. You have to start in your own backyard and then work from there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Many of these speakers are renowned scientists and researchers, and they're saying that it's actually going to be used as a super surveillance technology.
Yep. Well, I believe
they will know everything that we do.
Well, I work as a medium, and I can do that too. So, okay. But I don't want to tell the FBI or the CIA, otherwise they'll come around and beat on my door and take me away.
Absolutely, yeah, there is that element.
So just be careful. Be careful. Yeah. But or test it. If you could, can you do something to clear the cell phone tower? You know, and you know, without creating sparks or fires or tongues of fire or things like that. Just test it. See what is your capability.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine, you know, there are so many. I think there are millions of people who are living under geopathic stress. And this is why I encourage people to learn. I have got some workshops coming up. You can find out about them on my website, robert-egby.com. And I personally train people to work on Google Earth. You know, I do a 3-4 hour stint with a person or two people on thing, but I charge for that, so it's not a giveaway thing. How you use it is up to you. You know?
Okay.
Anyway, Roseanne, are you there? Are you still there?
Yeah. They're going to be, this 5G is shortwave radio frequencies, and it's going to be, they're going to be planting them every 30-something feet. So wherever we go, and Elon Musk has already put up, I think, 60 satellites. There's going to be a lot more going up. But we're going to, the whole Earth is going to be blanketed in this technology very soon. Verizon has put in one country in Europe millions of these things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, they've spent millions to get into one country. Much of Europe is trying to protest it.
I have various thoughts on things that people are moving too fast for their own good. They're allowing robots to take over, and that is not good, because this is basically what 5G is, as a robot system. And I would, you wake up one morning and find that you've got a robot sitting in the White House.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything about it because you've yielded to that. You know, it's and we're doing that way. If you just George Orwell was right. You know, his real name was Blair, but George Orwell. Yeah. Okay. Is that all? Anybody else got a question?
Well, I would like to add something along these lines. I have been severely injured by wireless radiation, and I am now pretty much isolated at home. I am what they call electromagnetically sensitively disabled. And I have a meter. There was cell towers in the middle of my town, and I've been sensitized.
You checked for geopathic stress?
Well, I as I'm listening to you, I've lived through 3 natural disasters since a year ago, June.
the last one in March was the melting of the huge amount of snow, and I flooded, and that's the first time in 27 years that my place has flooded, and I'm still dealing with groundwater problems, and so there was a lot of stress associated with dealing with these natural disasters, but
So you haven't checked for geopathic stress?
I have not, but it's making me. I knew that the stress had set me up for being vulnerable to this.
I would suggest you get somebody to check for geopathic stress, because a whole lot of, I'm finding that.
Are you able to help me with that remotely if I call you?
Go to my website and there's a link there. It'll tell you.
As you've been talking, I went on your site, and
okay.
I see.
Check it out, clear it for you if necessary.
Yes,
okay?
I am pretty much disabled now, and I really need help. Is calling or emailing best?
Emailing. You have to email. I don't like calls on the phone.
Robert, why don't you give your email and contact information, please?
Email is Robert.Egby, EGBY @yahoo.com, and my website is Robert-Egby.com. And please email me your address. I need to know your address. And I normally do it. I normally do everything the day I receive them. See, as soon as I get your email, I print it.
Yeah.
I use that to make all the notes for the scan.
Yeah. If I have geopathic stress on top of everything else, I'm just my body is failing me.
You may get relief from it. I'm not promising you will, but let's have a look and see.
Every bit that could help me would be much appreciated.
What's your name?
Nancy.
Nancy, I have one comment, and then I think we're really going to need to close. But I was listening to Bert Goldman talking about quantum jumping, and basically it's an idea, before I even heard him, it's an idea I'm working on. I believe that on some level, in some realm of reality, we're always okay. And so if you can put yourself in a deep meditative state or self-hypnosis and ask to go to that place where you are vibrantly alive and vigorously healthy. Mm-hmm. Imagine yourself doing the things that would mean you are vigorously healthy. Mm-hmm. And get into the state of emotions of actually feeling yourself joyful in that place. Mm-hmm. If you repeat that type of imagery over and over again with high level of feeling, it's been responsible for a number of people healing. Mm-hmm. Healing, remember, your body is not solid. It's just an agreement of these little tiny bits of energy with information. So energy can be changed really fast.
That's exactly right. Energy changes. That's what we are. And you can change your energy. The thing is, you don't even need to believe it. Just get somebody who'll do it for you.
Well, at this point, I need help. And I have used a lot of Joe Dispenza's work, which sounds similar.
Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Get on the email and email me tonight, and I'll do it first thing in the morning.
Thank you so much, Robert.
So I'm going to just give some announcements, and then we're going to close. Here are the announcements. Okay. Our next support call is going to be January 14th. It's always the second Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern. However, next week, we have the Water Dowsing Mastermind teleconference on Monday. That's next Monday, December 16th. That's 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, and Susan Collins is going to be speaking. And next Tuesday, we're going to have Gail West joining me on letting go of the past and creating a positive future. So once again, Robert's email is robert.egby@yahoo.com. Is that right?
Yep.
And robert-egby.com. If you have any questions or comments for myself, I'm Roxanne Louise. You can do Roxanne Louise, the number 2 @gmail.com. And my phone number is 434-263-4337. So if somebody wants to know what I was talking about that, going into that time and place thing, we're all healing occurs, which, by the way, Joe Dispenza also talks about. I'll be happy to explain it. Anyway, Robert, I want to thank you very much. We need to close.
It's been a slice. Thank you.
Very grateful. And then, so if everyone just says thank you to Robert, that'd be great. And we'll end the.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. Sleep well.
I'll email you tonight.
Good night.
Bye-bye.